Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días, aquí tienen el horario para hoy, martes el 22 de octubre. Our learning target for today is to continue mastering greetings and introductions to new acquaintances in the target language. Your warm-up question for today is in English. How do you typically greet your friends and family? What do you say to each other? How do you greet each other non-verbally? Acts of affection or lack thereof. We're going to review the homework that was due for today, which is the conversation from page 34, a oral presentation or an oral interaction. So this needs to be submitted as an audio-video file using the vocabulary that we went over last week to greet each other. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué pasa? Buenos días, buenas tardes. Introduce yourselves. ¿Cómo te llamas? Yo me llamo, or yo soy. Mi nombre es, followed by your name. Ask your partner how you're doing. ¿Cómo estás? Could even use ¿qué tal? Or ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué hay de nuevo? And then respond by saying regular, muy bien, bien, no muy bien, etc. Ask where your partner is from. ¿De dónde eres? And then respond. Yo soy de, and then your hometown, and then finally say goodbye to each other. Adiós, nos vemos, hasta luego, hasta la vista, ciao, etc. That conversation is due by midnight tonight. We have a reading that we're going to do today, and the reading is on page 36. It's titled Los saludos y el espacio personal. The reading is in Spanish, but you have a lot of footnotes to utilize at the very bottom. Cognates, words that look like, sound like, and have the same meaning in English. You have non-verbal cues, visual aids, and then you also have graphics as well to assist you in the comprehension of this reading. Los saludos y el espacio personal. Greetings and personal space. And then you guys are going to answer the comprehension questions, activity 1 on page 37. Cierto o falso. Indicate whether these statements are true or false based upon the reading. Number 1, according to the reading, aspects like age and gender can influence how people define personal space. Is that true based on the reading or false? A friend in Mexico can greet you by saying ¿Qué onda? Is that accurate? True or false? Based on the reading, it can be difficult to know to greet people from other cultures. Giving kisses and hugs are some of the ways that people use to greet each other. Shaking hands is not usually practiced. And finally, men and women across Spanish-speaking world follow the same styles of greetings. According to the reading, aspects like age and gender can influence how people define personal space. Cierto. If you look at the middle of the first paragraph, también existen otros factores, como el género, la edad, el estatus social y el clima. And again, you have a footnote here for any key vocabulary that has that exponential bubble in the top right-hand corner of the word. So there also exist other factors, such as gender, age, social status, and environment. According to the reading, aspects like age and gender can influence how people define personal space. Well, based upon that sentence, yeah. Age, gender, social status, that all of these factors can influence one's idea of burbuja personal, one's personal bubble or concept of personal space. So that's essentially what you're doing for the reading. And don't forget to utilize these two graphics as well to answer these true-false questions. Number 2, you're going to do with a partner and just discuss your responses to these 4 questions about your own definition of personal space and how you guys elect to greet each other. It's very similar to your response to your warm-up for today. And then for activity 3, synthesize the conversations that you had with your partner and also of the reading, and give me 2 pieces of information in each chart. So give me 2 examples of how people greet, interact with one another, means of verbal and nonverbal communication. How do people greet each other in the Spanish-speaking world? Give me 2 examples. In the community, so school community, the community in which you live, your neighborhood, your church community, your athletic community, social community. Give me 2 examples of how people greet each other. And again, these are all in English. And then in the third category, in between your family or amongst your family, 2 examples of how you greet and interact with each other. When I say examples of verbal, that would be expressions like these of greeting. And nonverbal would be un beso, a kiss, un abrazo, a hug, un apretón de manos, dándose los manos, shaking of the hand. Are you close or a little bit far away? Or any other physical means of greeting each other. So you're going to give 2 examples for each category. We're then going to take notes on nouns and articles. You don't need to take down everything that's on these pages, 38 through 40. I would just recommend everything that is written in red font, or blue and red font, rather. And whether you want to incorporate the examples in bold, I leave it up to you. Whether you want to take down these bullet points, I think these arrow bullet points would be useful. But at the very minimum, the information that's provided in the blue background and highlighted in red and blue font would definitely be worthwhile taking down in your notes. Begins on page 38, discussing this whole idea of the gender of nouns. Unlike English, Spanish nouns, whether they're people, animals, places, things, or ideas, fundamentally, because of it being a Romance language, there's this concept of gender of all things living and non-living, masculine and feminine, and the way that those nouns typically end. You have that on page 38. Nouns that refer to particular genders, like man and woman, are fundamentally going to be masculine or feminine. And then some different suffixes that we associate with each gender. Page 39 goes over other typical endings used for non-living things, very similar to those on page 38, although there are some unique suffixes, endings for each gender. And then how to make nouns plural, based upon how that noun ends, whether it's in a vowel, in a consonant, and in the consonant Z, and you have some examples there. Finally, on page 40, definite articles and indefinite articles. Definite articles in English would be the article the, based upon whether the noun is masculine or feminine. Singular or plural, you have 4 variations of the English definite article the. And those different variations agree in 2 ways. El, la, los, and las agree with the noun that they accompany in both gender and number. Spanish articles vary in four different variations because Spanish articles agree in gender, based on whether the noun is masculine or feminine, and number, based on whether the noun is singular or plural. You can see the different articles and how they agree based on the way that that noun ends. We know that a noun is masculine based on the ending, right? Typically O or A. We know that a noun is, masculine or feminine. O and A for masculine, A and S for feminine. And then we can distinguish a noun based on its number, whether it ends with an S or doesn't end with an S. That's what will make it singular or plural. Very similar in English. Indefinite articles in English are a, and some. The equivalent of that in Spanish would be un and una for a and unos and unas for some. And the same concept. Articles vary based upon the gender and number of those things. Your exit ticket for today is the Inténtalo activity on page 40. Fill in the blank with the appropriate definite article here on the left-hand side and indefinite article on the right-hand side. Correct answers. Pause this video if you don't want to hear the correct answers quite yet. Correct answers on the left-hand side would be la chica, feminine singular, el chico, masculine singular, la maleta, feminine singular, los cuadernos, masculine plural, el lápiz, masculine singular, and las mujeres, feminine plural. Typically, nouns that end in a consonant are going to be masculine, singular. And mujer is one of those examples of a noun that refers to the female gender, right? Mujeres is women, so that's fundamentally going to be feminine plural. On the right-hand side, unas escuelas is feminine plural. Una computadora is feminine singular. Unos hombres. Similar to number 6 on the left-hand side, hombres is men. So that's fundamentally going to be masculine plural. Una señora, feminine singular, and unos lápices. The plural form of this one on the left-hand side, unos lápices is masculine plural.